This is something that we know is going to work for us. We've got to get forward. We've got to get that shovel in the ground. We've got to get people working. Our construction industry is really dying here. And so this is the way that we can get it moving. And this is what we think is the best way of doing it. And I will tell you that this governor has taken this plan over the coals. He sat over 3 hours with the university and up at the medical center, and he was not pulling any easy questions on them. He went in there and found out, looked at it, did the study on it, and realized that this is the best way of going.
One last question, and that is also about UConn. You mentioned construction jobs, and we saw the hard hats stand up and say, we need these jobs. They said that at that informational session. What about the jobs down the road? Once the construction jobs are passed, how about jobs for other folks?
This is fantastic. I mean, this is what we're expanding. We're talking about expanding and doing research that hasn't been done before. We're talking about expanding our medical so that our more doctors will be trained here, and if they stay here, we're going to give them breaks, and especially for primary care doctors that we're in such need of. We're expanding our dental school, so we'll have more dentists here. We have shortages right here in our own state. We want people to come and expand that. If we expand on that, we expand a lot of the healthcare industries. I would hope that, as my former life as an X-ray technician, that they be hiring more technicians. They would be hiring more chemists. It is just an expanding way of going. This looks like a small project for a few people right now. It's not by any means. We're talking about 3,000 people in the first 2 years, and then more as we go on. So this is really something that I think the state should look at as an explosive new way of changing Connecticut around.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman, I appreciate your spending time with us. I know your schedule is jammed full, so we're glad that you had a few minutes for us. Thank you so much. It was good to see you.
See you.
And we're going to continue our discussion of the UConn plan. One of the bills yet to be voted on by the House and the Senate is SB 1152, which would incorporate Governor Malloy's $800 million bioscience initiative, which was first announced on May 17th. And as we said, that includes the expansion and renovation of the UConn Health Center. At a 2-hour-long informational session last week, much of the discussion focused on jobs.
I've had the opportunity to look at the history of the health center, with really clear, objective eyes. And let me say very clearly, from what I can tell, Bioscience Connecticut, this initiative, is very different from prior proposals for the health center, not just in its size, but also in its objective and the way it tries to pull all the pieces together. The earlier proposals were principally intended to secure the health center's financial footing. That's very clear to me. This initiative primarily is focused on using the health center to advance the state of Connecticut's agenda in terms of economics and health care. So I think it's a real shift in paradigm. It does that, as the Lieutenant Governor and others have said, by making our state a leader in bioscience, a growing industry, it has well-paying jobs, and with direct connections between the university, the economy, and public health. When I accepted the presidency of UConn back in, December, I said that UConn's contribution to the state's economic development will be a top priority for me over the next few years, and absolutely it will be. Bioscience Connecticut is just that project. It utilizes the intellectual and physical assets at UCHC that we already have, our sunk costs, to produce immediate and long-term benefits to the economy and also to health care. I think it'll expand and improve the capacity of our research, helping the health center to double federal and industry bioscience research grants that our faculty secure. So this is a really critical point, is that we bring more brain power to Connecticut through Bioscience Connecticut, and those researchers then, with their inventions, their ideas, their laboratories, the people they bring with them, can increase the number of NIH dollars in particular that come to the state. So that's the way we bring a lot of money from outside to Connecticut, again, for discovery and innovation.
Industry projections for 2008 to 2018 show employment in healthcare industries growing nearly 3 times faster than overall employment. For the same period, 4 of the top 20 occupations in terms of number of new openings due to growth in the occupation are in the healthcare field. These projections reflect the growing demand for healthcare due to the aging of the Connecticut population and the advances in the medical services. The Bioscience Connecticut initiative will help Connecticut meet that demand while also building an industry with the potential to create innovations in healthcare that will potentially attract patients from outside our state. Advances in healthcare are important for their own sake, but are just a little bit better if they are also engines for job creation in Connecticut.
Of the 16,400 jobs that will be created, approximately 5,000 of those come directly out of the work that will be done by doctors, nurses, dentists, the medical students themselves. And what it assumes is that, those additional jobs create service jobs around them, and that multiplies into the economy. So that's where that 5,000 comes from. And then the remaining roughly 11,000 comes from the investment in the intellectual property and the new technologies that come out of this, out of the research.
So joining me now to talk more about this project is the Dean of the School of Medicine at UConn, Dr. Cato Laurencin. Dr. Laurencin, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. One of the things that I was impressed with on some recent trips to the health center is that it is already a center of research, and I think if people knew what was going on, they'd be pretty excited because the research is really pretty advanced already.
Well, yes, it's an integrated academic medical center where research work, clinical work, and education takes place all in one location. Mm-hmm. And we've got some great leadership in areas such as stem cell research, biomaterials, musculoskeletal areas of cancer research, where we're really national and international leaders, and so it's an exciting place.
I was surprised. I was visiting with one of the professors who was doing some biomaterials research, and one of the things that she was talking about that sort of relates back to the jobs thing is that she tells her students, you have to think as an entrepreneur, that what you're studying here and what you're doing in your research laboratory eventually is something that you want to sell to the world. You want to market to the world. I thought that was an interesting way of looking at things.
Well, that's the way we think about it at the UConn Health Center. We're not only trying to do research, but we're also pushing back the frontiers of science. But we'd like to be able to create new technologies that will be used in humans. Mm-hmm. We have a very advanced technology development group working at UConn at stores and at the health center that helps in terms of patenting and licensing technologies that eventually become new products. And we're very proud of that history and proud of the fact that our faculty have worked very, very hard in terms of trying to create new technologies that benefit people.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Laurencin, what about strengthening the medical and dental schools? UConn is the only public college, the only public medical school in the state. There's also, of course, Yale Medical School. But what's your goal under this project and how you would see that develop?
Well, let me just say I'm so excited about the Bioscience Connecticut initiative, and I also need to applaud our governor for what he's been doing. He came to the health center, spent a day with us, worked to understand us, what we do and how we do it. Then he challenged us to say, to do more in terms of being able to contribute to the state of Connecticut in terms of bioscience and in terms of jobs. We assembled a faculty leadership group that helped to advise and provide input, and that group provided some information to the governor, and the governor put together the plan that we see here now. And it's exciting for a number of areas. On the medical school and dental school side, we have a great medical school and great dental school, but this works to even strengthen it even further. Mm-hmm. Provides new educational space, a new academic village, if you will, to be able to cultivate our students. It expands the medical school and dental school by about 120 students, and really allows the medical school and dental school to work to be able to provide more doctors and dentists. And that also more doctors and dentists will work in the area of primary care. Mm-hmm.
Well, Nancy Wyman just mentioned, she referred to, and we would give them some breaks if they stayed in the area. What does she mean by that?
Well, we will be, as a part of this Bioscience Connecticut program, there will be a loan forgiveness program that will be a part of it. And this will be a program whereby if students stay and work in primary care in the state of Connecticut, they'll receive loan forgiveness over time. Mm-hmm. We think this will be a great incentive to have doctors and dentists stay in the state.
So would that be a thing, and maybe the details haven't been worked out yet, but would it be a thing where, for each year you stay, a portion of your loan is forgiven or something along those lines? Yes,
that's the plan. For each year staying in the state, a percentage of the loan will be forgiven.
Mm-hmm. And what does medical school cost these days?
Well, it's actually a fairly good deal for our in-state state individuals. And let me just say, we have a huge commitment to the state of Connecticut in terms of educating the sons and daughters of Connecticut residents. 80% of our medical school class is actually Connecticut residents, and over 65% of our dental school class. So it's a huge commitment that's there. Tuition runs about $25,000, which for individuals entering primary care, where the salaries are lower, it can become difficult in terms of being able to finance that. So this program, in terms of loan forgiveness, I think will really have an effect.
That would be great if we could get more young people to stay here. I guess one last question, and that really is, if this whole program is to go through, how do you oversee each portion of it, and does any of it change your relationship with other area hospitals? You know, the last time there was a discussion about expanding the medical center, other area hospitals in the immediate service area got kind of upset about it. There were a lot of objections.
Well, we have a certificate of need process, and we actually had an open hearing, and this is last year, and established our bed count and our bed size, et cetera. And we actually, with that open hearing, we actually had a consensus from the hospitals in the region, and actually no hospitals actually voiced opposition. And in fact, we've actually done some fundraising types of grant applications, et cetera. We've actually got letters of support from the other hospitals in the region for the configuration of the beds that we have. We're not changing that at all. And this proposal, I want to be very clear, this proposal does not change the way in which the bed configuration is that's already been agreed to in that area. What it does do is expand what we're doing on the research side. 250,000 square feet of research space is renovated. Expand our incubator space, double the incubator space at the University of Connecticut, and really provides opportunities for us to be able to expand the medical school. So I think this is something that, and also I need to make it very, very clear that the increase in numbers of physicians practicing in the state really helps everyone in the region, because there's a critical shortage that for all the hospitals in terms of new doctors, and this really helps that situation.
Well, Dr. Cato Laurencin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure getting a chance to get to know you for a little while.
Great,
and thanks for your input on this. We'll see where this goes.
Thank you.
And now here's a look at what's coming up live on CTN today. Both House and Senate are scheduled to convene at 11 a.m. Whichever starts first is the one that you'll see on TV, but we will carry both of them on the web stream at ct-n.com. And here are some of the other things going on around the state capitol today. If you're looking for a longer review of the week's events, tune in to Capitol Report Week in Review, which airs every Friday at 7 o'clock and throughout the weekend. And to recap the news today, there is 1 week to go. The 2011 legislative session ends at midnight a week from today, and it's crunch time for legislators. House and Senate are expected to be in session every weekday until then. No word on whether there's going to be a Saturday session as well. I'm Diane Smith. I'm glad you could be with us today. If you have a moment, please go to our website at ct-n.com and fill out a short survey telling us how we can make this program more useful to you. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about appropriations and the budget with two lawmakers, and we're also going to talk with two other lawmakers who studied ways to make the government run better. What happened to the recommendations of the Commission on Enhancing Agency Outcomes? We'll find out on CTN on Thursday at 9 a.m.